Before we start creating our very first publication, it's important to draw the line between methods and publications. Methods can be defined as one-way communication at a time. Methods are a one-way communication where one of the parties, either the client or the server, is talking to the other. Ideally, the client send out a request to the server invoking a certain method on the server side. If it succeeds, the server responds back to the client with whatever the method is set to return. In our application, the method doesn't really return anything, but for the sake of this example, let's imagine it returns back the whole document, and this is very easy to do. And in general, methods are like this game I used to play as a child, where we would tie a string to two cups and we would use them to communicate. For one to talk, the other had to listen. This is the key takeaway I would like you to remember when it comes to methods versus publications. Keep in mind, this is a gross oversimplification of how methods work, but it will suffice for our current level of understanding. Now, moving on to publications. Okay, publications are continuous two-way communication. For publications, try to think of it more as a phone call, okay? Both sides remain on the call and can interact with each other simultaneously. The client establishes a connection with the server and it keeps it open during the whole operation. And the server is responsible for keeping track of changes to your subscribed data source and sending the latest updates to the client side. Um, any documents sent to the client side are stored in this special database called MiniMongo. It's very similar to MongoDB, except it lives on the client side and it supports the very same notation you use to communicate with MongoDB on the server side. Um, just like how a phone call uses more battery and network resources than sending individual messages, publications are a very CPU intensive process. A WebSocket is opened and maintained throughout the process, and that's why you should be mindful when using publications. Okay, as they can hog down your server. Whatever you do with publications, keep in mind you can do with methods. The only upside to using publications is the ability to reflect real time changes without the needing to reload. So we can bring data back to the client side using a method that returns back data. But when you use a publication, it's a lot more reactive. It's real time. Any change happening on the server side is reflected on the client side. Okay. In this very simple example, we're subscribing to a publication called messages.all, and it just keeps on sending whatever new message is added to the server. Okay. So methods are like a cup and a string communication. One talks, one listens, and then they switch. Publications are like phone calls. Both sides stay connected and can interact with each other.